Hi guys. Yeah. Not so quantum, but double minded. I tried to get on the live broadcast over how many times that the thing is going off. But how are you, Pade Antonio? Hey, muli mutya bantu bangi. Katwinda bala beyongere atugene maso ne subject yaffe. So today we are talking about why the older people are actually into SUVs, more into SUVs than the younger people. You'll if you have been observant, abantu abali myaka ana mu etaano bagenda bavaayo mu SUV. If you are observant, abantu bali myaka egyo sente zaalina zibazigula SUV, but still they don't buy the SUV. So this is what we are going to be discussing, and probably then it would probably help a person that is considering buying an SUV in their decision making. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Good evening, my people. SPK Chechi Paul Sema JFK Arts. Ani ali mukamuli atayogera kuba bwe mbalaba n'abantu bali bataano. Ate mundaba muli musanvu. Ani ali mukamuli ate nga we muli omusanvu like the broadcast. Buli ajanga liking so we have an equal number of viewers, equal number of likes. Let's like guys. Like the broadcast as the more people come on. Waswa Roderick Foska, how are you? Kaswilo listed. Wait, I did not put the thing here. Kakatekeko kabade tekaliko katubanka tadeko nenga muli mutya Isaac mwaza. How is your evening, guys? Nokwebaza mukama katonda kuba waliwo abalwanagana n'obulamu ati waliwo abalwanagana n'okussa, waliwo olubuto gwe luluma, waliwo omugongo gwe guluma, waliwo ow'amagulu agaluma, waliwo ali mu kugwa kwa accident kati, waliwo yagudde ku accident kikataano eziwedde kati nga wali nga ai binuma. You get waliwo yeekonya akagere mu lukuubo. You know, the world is too big that so many bad things are happening, and because they're not happening to you, Subaru taina VVTI. If you're looking for VVTI, you buy Toyotas. Mpozi ne Honda na oba ina jibaita VTEC, I think. Mweba guy. The world is too big that so many bad things are happening, and because they are not happening to you, don't really think the bad things are happening. But the world is too big and bad things are happening. Okay, even good things are happening. But the good things, well, we all wish the good things happen to us. But it's important for us to understand that bad things are happening to people right now. And the fact that those bad things, none of the bad things are happening to you, you should actually be thanking God. Arocha, Samuel, Nathan, Timothy, Kisa. Yeah. This students and Nathan, I hope you're doing well too. Let me see. Why isn't this thing working? So the image that is on the broadcast, DP, that's actually AI generated. That image is AI generated. It's I don't think it's a real car. It doesn't really exist. So today we are going to be talking about why the older generation, those are people in their 50s and above, really like SUVs. People in their 50s and above are the people that really like the SUV genuinely for reasons that you can actually trace. The people below 50s, they're just buying SUVs because they can afford them. They're not really buying SUVs because of any valid reasons. The Meister, what's up? Rero tugenda kuba twogera ku ebintu ebyo abantu abakulu lwaki bagala nnyo SUV, and then you should be asking yourself, should I buy an SUV? Me personally, Nzenga Arthur, I don't think I want to buy an SUV. I don't think I'm going to buy an SUV. I think one of the reasons why me, Nzenga Arthur, I will not buy an SUV It's because I think driving an SUV gives you a lot of responsibility, much more that you should be taking on. The arms, they grow day that in a quarter much. After the broadcast, I'm going to work out for like 30 minutes. 30 minutes is a lot of time. 30 minutes to 1 hour is a lot of time if you're working out and very proper. And I'm going to grow bigger. I'm going to grow bigger. Of course, muscle, not food. See myself. Of course, muscle now myself be sounding a little bit the same if you don't differentiate the languages. But me, I'm going to grow muscle. I'm going to grow bigger. Charles Chechiriwo. Kevin, I hope you're doing well. So today we want to talk about why people want the SUVs. Of course, one of the reasons is the status. Nzenganze other status because the status at the end of the day, I think a lot of things humble me. A lot of things that I watch, see humble me, and I find that status is no longer that important to me. You give your family the quality of life that you think is good enough for them, not the quality of life you got, but the quality of life that is good enough for them. Hi Triple M, Vinny Cats, how are you? Nze, I'm good. Chiza Tadeo VIP buli muntu gola banga alikoka green yao umanya yasa sude VIP buli gola banga alikoka green yao kongeri nyali nzemu green umanya VIP yasa sude VIP. Derek Lule, good evening. Mweba guy abagara okusasula VIP nga tuyagala kuteka movie za cardio waroka app bakaita. I'm going to upload the video with that app. Ka app ako you can create as many as 100 Visa cards in Gazidi Manyago. So all you do is you put money on that app using mobile money, and then you create a Visa card. So that way you can actually buy credits. No bangana we nyali mu green ngatadeo. Bana abantu gatadeo mwe bali kumpa ku sente. Derek Lule Chechido na Ramek Titi. Good evening Arthur. I'm among them because very soon you're going to inspect a Kluger car. Ramek, are you 50 and above? Derek Lule, how are you? Nomadic for life, SUV is good ground clearance, tough on rugged terrain, grow like a tortoise. Triple M, what is VIP? Triple M VIP are these guys that pay for membership on my channel. The guys that basa sura yaka sente mutwaro gumu, which tegeda. Nabanga afuse VIP subscriber. So I'm going to show you an app because nowadays you don't really have to add your bank account. Facebook or Google account you. So you download that app and then you put money on that app and then you make a Visa card. And then that Visa card cannot be linked back to your bank account. So your money cannot be stolen. So for the guys that buy stuff online, that's a very safe thing. So guys, I just want us to see to go through the things. I've written some things here. Why with the things we should consider before we buy cars. And I've been talking about these things for a very long time. Hi Eddie, how are you? I've been talking about these things like the broadcast. You know, I've watched the TikTok live before, and the only thing the guy was saying, kona we mirundi evidi, kona we mirundi evidi. That's what guys be doing on TikTok live. You get. So anyway, before you buy a car, we have talked about these things. Talked about things you should be considering before buying your first car, before buying your second car. People do SUVs because of their body physique, easily entered in and out. Kati omugongo guba safer. Olimba Timothy. One way to keep your back safer is to exercise. Omugongo tegumenyeka motoka. That's why you find that even the guys that were driving SUVs, you think a mama baba stopped being poor when? Or well, stopped driving small cars when? Nina mama baba which take here. Maybe if you say the age, but still the age doesn't make sense because the way when you grow old, in a way, then entering a Raxis would be easier than entering a Prado. Not so? Entering a Vitz would be easier. And then the sitting posture is standard. The sitting posture is standard. I tell most of those SUVs, still you sit like this. You just higher. But even in this car, it's a small car. You see this thing can come up and I can put it here. If I want to make my back straight, I can put it here or I can put it there. So the back is actually, and then this thing can be raised. It can be raised to straight. Now this is straight. Or I can push it, whatever. I can push it all the way down. Now it's going down. That's why you see it in the That's how low it can go. And then I can bring it back up. I can bring it up. So for me, and then, yes, it's almost, yeah. Yes, bring it up. And now this is the level. Of course, now the SUV seat is a little wider. And then I can bring this back up here. See? So, why people, the things you should be considering, and probably I should be doing this broadcast once every 2 months to remind people, because I've found that actually people get excited. Let me tell you why. I think someone has some money. They have been planning to buy a car of 20. Atuka kuye million abidi netabuka muko nagamba abrakisigule yasatulumo sentence dina usegera all of a sudden wongo ne buchuka naga kangene ngule yasatu katuka kuyasatu ngate na itejida ndo mga ate katika undo ya 5 ande nyina million kaga kwa kaundo kisigula kaunde ya 5 ngaka unda ajiguze. Nathan, how are you? Abe, how are you? Usegera had no idea. So let's just look at, of course we have looked at purpose. I've said that we talked about budget before. We talked about purpose. Road conditions. Now you guys, I've found that people normally give the reasons of simanya ebinya bingi. That's why we are buying SUVs. There are roads where there are roads that are bad, and I live 35 kilometers away from town, and there are roads that I go to Ngambi. But I can tell you, however slippery the roads have been, however potholed the roads have been, I've maneuvered in small cars like Vitz. And katinze wembera, okutuke wange wembera. Let me see the roads I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 6. I have 6 roads to get to my place. Now, of the 6 roads, let me see. 1 is far. 2 is bad in the rain. 3 has a lot of hills. Yeah. 4 also gets bad in the rain. So I have 2 roads that are left to use. Yeah, let me see. 1 is far. 2, the rain spoils it. Okay, the rain doesn't really spoil it that much, but normally the rain comes when they have just dug somewhere, so that I can't also use it. 3 has a lot of hills, and also that goes through the same joins at road number 2. It's at a certain point. 3 has a lot of hills, and also when it rains, it floods a little. That's 4. And then 5, yeah, that's 5 still, yes. 5 still does the same. So I have 1 road that is really good. Really, really good. Not a lot of potholes, that doesn't get flooded, doesn't have a lot of hills, and I use that one. Now, normally when people are buying plots of land, for example, is it near the road? What if it's near the road and then that's the only road you have, and then that road gets problems? Which other road are you going to be using? So that's the advantage that I have where I live, and that's probably the advantage of buying land in estates. So you have multiple roads that lead to your place. So yes, there is no road where I have been, and I feel like, oh, I wish I had a Land Cruiser here. No, there is no road where I've been and I wished I had a Land Cruiser. So no, which are potholes, road conditions. Then fuel efficiency, it's very important for us as I don't know if I should call myself a young person at 34, or I should call myself an old man. So, but it's for us, people that are not old. I can't call myself young, but I cannot call myself old. So people that are not very old, it's fuel efficiency is very important. You still have kids that go to school like me. My eldest son is 6 years, making 6 years in June. So together, I still have about 17 years of school fees. So I cannot be right now living like I'm in retirement. I cannot be buying cars that consume 6 kilometers per liter. You get, that would be poor mathematics. And then, of course, reliability, very important. When we keep saying, okay, tell reliable, you can buy. But reliability is important. Like me, I still have 17 years of school fees. Actually, more than 17 because the youngest is just made 4. So 4 years. Bujitola ku myaka 23 bali gye basomera. I still have 19 years of school fees. So if I have 19 years of school fees, there is no way I'm going to start behaving like I have like 4 years left. Ntira mweje emyaka ena bwezi ne artist mukulu wa na amukwatako abana abange ngino okubawerera. So I cannot be treating myself like I'm done school fee. I have 19 years of school fees remaining. So I need to make sure that I have a car that's not only reliable but also fuel efficient. Of course, safety features, but we both understand that in Uganda it does not matter what safety features you have. If it's an accident, if you're to die, you will die. At over, I find that religion has done us very bad. It makes us believe that omuntu waba wakfa no matter what. Kakati bobero kizanti omuntu waba wakfa are you buying a Volvo? So if you want safety features, buy a Volvo. All these other cars, and we've seen MPs die in their Land Cruisers, the V8s. You get, because apparently when someone buys a car that they believe it's safe, then they start driving like they are going to die, like they have a spare life. That's how people die in the V8s and Mercedes Benzes. And then of course, availability of parts and servicing. Togula motoka nga spare tomanja agenda kuva tomanyi makanika. Emoroka, I think some other dude talked about it. Someone sent me a clip. The dude was saying emoroka buli bojigula bobanga ogenda okujigula ne batandika okugamba emoroka gundi yagitegeera tojigula nti makanika wa yali mundeeba. Why are you buying a car where the only person who can literally fix it is one in the whole Kampala? Tola bantu obatomanyi banaye Bashiri nenda mukadde njire bananga ati na mukadde Bashiri kankubulire. We were at a film shoot. We were shooting the short film for one of my students, and that's Friday. Tugenda okushooting eyo bayitayo bati eyo mu estate z'abagagga eyo Entebbe eyo Garuga eyo, and like there are no borders that side. And we reach a point and our camera like jams lensing at Ekora. So I had to call my dude Avuga Namukade Yang, and I told him, you know what, Jango Genda Tunanako, we had another location. And on his way coming to us, we realized that the lens is dead. So I tell him, you know what, Vuga Genda Paka Munyonyo, Ofune lens or Maroje Wano. And just like that, having a second car made sense. So he came, brought us the lens, that Yambaka Nakao, Natuvuga Natusa setting. We were shooting, then it was time to pick my kids from school. I told him, you know what, go pick my kids from school. Just like that, having a second car on call made sense to me. So Bashir Namukadejire. And then we were talking with that dude there. Was it on Thursday? We were talking on Thursday. Namugamana ye, ochimanyi nti okuddamu okufuna emmoroka eringa Namukadde. Let me tell you, Namukadde anywa bulungi okusinga VTs. Anywa bulungi okusinga VTs. Ate ngenda kati ngenda mugudda engine eri empya ngeri mu Ractis. I'm going to buy a new engine, the new version of the one NZ, the one that is in the Ractis. I'm going to buy it and put it in Namukadde. It's cheap. Just give me a few months. I'm going to buy it. That engine will cost me like 1.8. I'll buy it, put it there. Atemuli okemula fuel efficiency eri ku Namukadde. Okitegeera. So kati Namukadde talina gy'alaga Bashiri baba. Ojja kujja tugende tunonye emmoroka eyiyo Namukadde tumuleke abeerewo nange nevuge muzange ane Namukadde gyali nga nkimanyi on call. I just press the button and my car comes. Okay, so let me see. Nomadic for life is just saying, just like shoes have different usage, boots of gardens, slippers for home, hiking shoes, walking, running shoes, the exercise, vehicles all have different usage if you are knowledgeable. Okay, Firstborn, hi. Suna Akram, hi. Baron Apudan, how are you? I'm planning to buy my first car, 15 million. Would you recommend a Vitz or a Passo? Buy a Vitz, not a Passo. If Vitz is better than a Passo, it will give you better space. Yeah. So anyway, guys, we are in Africa. Before we go forward, it's important that we understand why we're in Africa. Now, let's get straight into it because it's 20 minutes past the hour that we have to do. And good evening for the guys that have just joined. Don't forget to like the broadcast. And then I'd like to remind you, I do pre-purchase inspection when you're going to buy a car and you want to get a good car with the guidance of someone that actually cares that you get a good car. I'm your man. We make sure you get a good car in good condition. And like I said yesterday, the best time to buy cars is between March and June. People are selling. This time abantu baba bavu mboba tetu muchimanyi. This time katigwa ine milioni zo 15 abiri. This is the time to buy. Ngatogena mu bond eza bond tezichuka. Eza bond teziriko period. The other guys are business people. But anyway, let me just go through the reasons why SUVs became very popular in Africa. Now, if you go back to history, even the way we have Africa is portrayed in films, Africa is a jungle. If you didn't know, every time people want to shoot movies for a jungle and they cannot afford to go to the Amazon, they think of Africa. They know Africa. Every time they want to shoot movies where they are predicting poor people, they think of Africa. Africa is a jungle. And actually, it's a jungle. If you don't eat, you get eaten. Which together. Nzebananga, I love Subaru Forester. My budget 15. Can it work? I think you could. Yes, you can get. Kastato picky. Car drinking 11 kilometers per liter is fuel efficient. It depends what car it is. Abudu. Isuzu Troop jireke. Leave those cars alone. Okujja ko nga tata wo yaje kuwa ngo jimugula ko raisi. Newe bogenda kwata sende zozi wo omuntu omulala to buy that thing. You're going to suffer in capital letters. So anyway, because the Isuzu Trooper and the Isuzu Bighorn, those cars are literally the same car. They make people suffer. The people, why do you think that people are stuck with those cars? You find a man in his 60s stuck with that thing. When he's going to the village, he fixes it, goes, it dies on the way. Then he takes a border, they fix it, they bring it to him. Coming back to Kampala, it dies. They fix it, they bring it to him in Kampala. Hey, I'm going to give up when you refuse in front of me. Bashiri, mvako. Mvako, Bashiri. Mvako. So anyway, guys, we are talking about why people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s like the SUV. One, I was telling you that Africa is a jungle. If you didn't know, Africa is a jungle. And Okumanya Africa is a jungle. You guys should see the current deportation of people from the UK to Rwanda. And people are struggling to not be deported. Do you know why? Because they're deporting them back to a jungle. And it being a jungle, we have a lot of bad roads. Sometimes I look at our roads and I think, my God, and then look, you have a majestic president. When he sits, you see he's a fountain of honor. We have a first lady, beautiful woman, wife to the fountain of honor. And then you look at our roads. You get, and then you're asking yourself, so the roads in Uganda are very terrible. And right now, Fechitulabanga terrible is actually a good thing. They used to be worse than what they are now. They used to be worse. Ntengudo zino kumanyanga zaali mbi. Yes, no, I think a week ago, I had gone to pick something. You said is Namungona. Now, Namungona abantu bedda abafuna ku sente nga bakyali myaka 3-4 bagulanga mbifebyo Namungona Nansana, and they used to buy in those places. Ne bazimbamu ennyumba nga bagula plots za 5 ku 10, 5 ku 8 and stuff like that. Ne babazimbamu ennyumba ez'obuvunanyizibwa. They put up very beautiful houses, and then those places became slums. Now, when they built in those places, because Uganda basically didn't really have a plan, so the roads yes, they had the roads, but they never planned to actually tarmac the roads. So the roads were terrible. Right now, majority of you guys that have your parents that are alive, when you look at the places where your parents built their houses, you cannot go there with the Vitz. Some of you guys, when you go with your parents and you're driving to see your parents and you're driving a Vitz, you leave the cars at the main road. Then you go on foot to your parents' houses. Some of you, I'm not saying all of you, which together. Now, there are some people that actually went ahead and constructed the roads in their neighborhoods. But some people that were not able to construct, the roads are still the way they were. And the roads were that bad to the extent that for you to get to your house, you needed a 4-wheel drive car. You get it? You needed 4-wheel drive. I went to Namungona some time back and I had gone to pick some stuff and I stopped my car somewhere. Sure enough, a neighbor of the person where I had gone to pick something got out, and that neighbor was driving a TX. The next neighbor that I saw was driving a Nua, and he was struggling to come from down in Nagano Genda. So I just imagine if I went down with my small car, what would have happened? Rollings is saying, Mr. Arthur, I believe you must recommend every brand that has its official showroom in Uganda. Brands like Suzuki, they have Sufao, spare parts. Okay, let me just make this clear, guys. There is nothing like must. Okay? There is nothing like must. There is nothing like Arthur must recommend this brand. Okay? I want to make this clear. There is nothing like Arthur must recommend this brand. If the brand makes bad things, it will make bad things. They don't pay me to recommend them. Secondly, Rollings, let me tell you this. If you went to Sifao, where I buy plugs for my car, I only buy plugs from there, by the way. Where I buy plugs for my car, yeah, they don't have spare for Toyota cars, all Toyota cars. They have spare for newer Toyota cars. The cars they import, that's the spare they have. So your you must statement doesn't apply. I've been to those showrooms, and if those guys actually want me to recommend their cars, they should approach me and I recommend them the cars. Because right now, with my experience, there are cars I would recommend. I don't know who manufactures Toyota. I don't know who manufactures Subaru, and I recommend them. I don't know who manufactures Lexus. I don't know who manufactures Subaru. No. Yes, who manufactures Mercedes-Benz, and I still recommend them. You get? So there is nothing like you must recommend. No, there is nothing like that. You don't have to recommend Kampala. But I want it. It's also troop, like it really want, because I'm going to use it visiting my gardens in Guru. It's okay. I will do. You buy. I've told you leave that car alone. Go buy a TX. Go buy a Hilux. I know the reason why you're considering Isuzu Troop, because it's cheaper than the TX. It's cheaper than the Hilux. Why do you think it's cheaper? But if you want, you can go ahead and buy. I don't want you guys to say Arthur discourages us from buying our cars. You go buy. But when you buy, come back here 2 months after you have bought that car and give us feedback. Guys, every time I tell you to not buy a car and you go ahead and buy it, drive it for 2 months, but please, whether the experience is bad, whether the experience is good, come back and report here and say, Arthur, come and recommend. Come and recommend. The fact is, people that have asked me about cars that I don't know whether they are good or bad, I've simply said, I don't know, I have to ask. Not so. For the cars that I know, I saw someone saying that Isuzu Troop at 2.5, it looked new. It had engine troubles. Not actually engine troubles. Then they were saying injector. Then they were saying turbo. Then they were saying a lot of things. You get. But you buy if you really want it. Since you want to go to the garden, I really hope that garden is profitable enough. The garden better be making you a lot of money, because it's going to eat the money. So, let me just scroll back up to what I wrote here. So people in their 60s, 70s, and 50s are still buying SUVs, because in their time, the time when they were our age, I'm 34. The time someone who is 50 now or 60 now was 34. That's about 15 years ago. 15 years ago was around 1990 something, right? 2000 something. The roads were terrible. I remember when I was around 9, they launched the Kajansi footbridge. You know that thing, eh? That's 2000. I think when this guy when Senkubuge stood Yayimirawo Kwesimba president, and that's a long time ago. Ntebe Road was the only good road, literally. All the other roads were terrible. I remember when I was in senior one, we used to go to Mitiana, and it would take 3 hours just to come from Kampala to Mitiana, and the road was really dusty. So roads were bad. And the time I went to Mitiana was around 2004. You get? So the roads were really bad. And at that time, it simply made sense for someone to buy an SUV. And at that time, still cars were not for everyone. It was very rare for you to find a young man in their 20s buying a car. But right now, I can tell you, I've inspected cars for men in their 20s, and they're buying new cars from the bond. So yes, right now, our generation has more money than our fathers and grandfathers. That I can tell you. Our fathers and grandfathers Those guys benefited somehow from the Amin regime because Amin gave away stuff. Some people bought very cheap stuff. Right now, it's not easy to buy cheap stuff, but you can make a lot of money. Generally, in the world, it's easier to make money now than it was then. Which but the money also lost a lot of value than it had then. But then the roads were really bad, so the people who were in their 30s then had to buy SUVs to maneuver the roads. Then still, the people that abasajja myaka 5 nkaaga, the time they bought their first cars, or by the time they dreamt of buying cars, SUVs were practical. I remember when we got for barriers, then you remember those Land Cruisers where they would open the back doors and people sit there, because literally in the entire family you would find that only one person has a car. So that one person that had a car made sure that he had a car, and at that time family was really family. Family was really family. And they would have to take a lot of people. Still, people bought because they needed practicality. It was the same cars that would take the coffins of dead people. We didn't have funeral service vans. At that time, the person that had the car in the family would drive the coffin. In the family, if there was a person that had the chigege would drive the coffin. I don't know if I make sense. So if you bought a Vitz, how would you drive the coffin? So people just opted to be buying those big cars for practicality, for their own practicality, road. And then at that time, people are not really conversant of because there was not a lot of information. People are not really exposed at that time. And then also people had a lot of children. Every man, by the time they were like 25, they would have like 6-7 kids. I'm 34 and I have 2 kids and I'm not adding. You'd have to give me like 300 million every kid you want me to have now. Because I know that kid will cost me a lot of money just to raise. You get? So then they needed those. And then again, you need to remember that the people in their 50s and 60s, at the time they were now in our age group, majority of them, or they had a farm of sorts. Nze nagano kulima. Sijja kulima. Nejeke abagamba onetajja kulima yalima entangawuzi n'afirwa yagamba milioni 3. Okitegeera nze nga Arthur nalundako ku nkoko naye wano recently bampa ebitooke embuzi gye mbifumbe mbisimbe ngenda okutuuka nga si bitooke ngate bifaanana ebitooke nga n'endagala zivaako naye bangamba uli awo oba bayita butyo obugundu obukaluwo obutooke sijja kulima nze nja kukola ebirala mwe mulime abalima. But that generation, they were farmers. That's why literally every person in their age group, when they retire, they go to a farm. You get it? They don't start any other big business. They can have 150 million, but they will not start a school. They will not. They'll go farming. You get? Because that was the trendy thing. They grew up knowing that every person must farm. Our generation, it's not a must for everyone to farm. Investing in a farm is not better than you getting your money and investing in an app. You get it? You could invest in an app. Thank you, Rawlings. Guys, like the broadcast. You could invest in an app, put there like 80 million, and that app keeps making you money over time. And as long as you promote the app will make more money than even a farm. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. You could invest in a website. You could invest in a YouTube channel. You get it? There's so much that you could do right now that those guys did not have as options then. Those guys literally had an option of farming. Okitegeera nze nakula ne jjajja wange nga ku kyalo buli muntu mulimi atalima nga alunda ngera abantu bajja eri sente zaabwe, they get their money from elsewhere and they come and put in either a poultry farm or a digging farm, okitegeera matooke farm, coffee farm. That was a generation. I'm not saying that you should not farm. Nze sijja kulima, nze nga Arthur nagaana. Gwe, you can kulima. So you see why those people had to buy SUVs and pickups? Because it made sense to them at that time. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. It made what? It made sense. Arthur, it's true that I realized why Hilux are sold expensively. My dad has a Hilux 1998, but last time we left village, the guy loaded it with over a ton load, but thing managed to move from Nigeria. Hey, those things are fighters deep in coffee high. What about Hilux Surf? A Surf you can buy. It's better than you buying that cheap thing that you wanted to buy. Hi, Nick. How are you? Africa Karota chechiriwo. So anyway, the other reason why people were buying those SUVs was, you see, a long time ago, that's in like 1990, people would move distances to go see their relatives, to go see their friends. People did not live like close to each. Of course, now kati Jeturaga, because one of my friends Yazimbe yo Wachiso, you can imagine Wachiso. Then one of my other friend Aligaya Azeri by time Manyangwa. You see the distances now I have to drive to go see people. My Jaja lives in Namayomba. You get it? You see the distances now that we have to drive. But around 2000s, people started building close to each other. Friends buy land next to each other and all. And then the distances started becoming close, small. And then people started building in towns, not far away from each other. Now, you need to understand that diesel cars work better when they're doing distances. Nungi nyo ku distance, echitali ate ku petrol. When you a diesel car, bubanga ovuga olugendo luwanvu nga constantly you drive from Luweero Kampala, it's better you buy a diesel car. It's better you buy a diesel car. Diesel cars would outlive petrol cars if you're driving long distances. You get it? So that's one other reason why they would buy diesel cars, because a motor diesel, a so car is I find that it's safer on longer distances. Toja kusanga nti ate fuel pump ebugumye naye kubisibanya waya zikoze zitya. A motor diesel tezikwata na muliro. How many diesel cars have you seen catching fire? You get it? So I find that diesel cars are literally safer. But also then, petrol cars were not so many. There were not so many. Diesel yaliwa amanyi nyonga mungi. Then I also find that the reason why people bought a lot of SUVs was status. Bashir, now the team no kulima. Nze sijja kulima. Mwe mulime fe tukatukole ebirala ate mwe mulima fe nabo tunalima nani agula bye tulima. Mwe mulime fe tujja gula bye mulimo ba mulunde tujja bagula kamata. Yeah. So anyway, status is a big thing, by the way, in Africa. Status is a big thing in Africa. Even for poor people, they still want to look rich. I don't want to be a target. Kabelio, mubwafu wange, bogere, bakolechi, nze sijja kufayo. But status is a big thing, and it has been a very big thing for a long time. That's why you find that someone retires, na akwatanga bamuwadde retirement package $2,000,000, na akwatako $10,000 n'agulako emmotoka. Not a wise decision, but people do it. Bino ebintu tubiraba. Someone are retiring ne bamuwa $3,000,000. Ngabadde yazimba akayumba kene onge wange matuga bamuwa $3,000,000 eza NSSF, na akwatako $2,000,000 n'agulako ennyumba ekira. Bwabagifunyeyo lemidese obegayaza asembera okumpimpi n'ekibuga n'asigaza $1,000,000. Ku 10 n'akwatako enkaaga n'agulako kawundo. Kati omuntu gwe babadde $3,000,000 agenda okugattagatta ng'asigaza 4. Kati ngate bidi byonna byaguze bidya ssente tebikomyawo. You get it? Nathan nze hani nja kugula. You people should dig. For us we shall buy. For us we shall buy. Me I'm going to do other things sigenda kulima. Zine wange gambutu sinazisuula. Ewange nyineyo jambi ayoka ya kutema babbi. Enkumbi zidi okuba nkyatereza nnyumba. Are there automatics that save more than manuals? No, they are not there. Someone told me a 7-gear automatic sells more. No, they are not there. Manual is manual, people. Manual is manual. CVTs have unlimited gears. CVT gears don't end because it's just a pulley going up and down. They don't end. But still automatics, like a manual, would consume less than a CVT. Anyway, reasons why people bought cars. Why the people in their 60s. And it's a psychological thing. SUVs was the thing in their time. Ngabo olaba taatawo bwanyumira music gwotanyumirwa. Then olaba mutabani wonga music gwanyumira gwe tomunyumira oba mutowo. It's a psychological thing. During their time, SUVs were the thing. During only farming I do is honey production. Other things take ups. Thank you, Nathan. Antonio mulime ate kati Antonio bwe mulime kirungi mulimire eno side ze waffe you shall be nga mutuyitamu ne mutu delivering ngira muti iyo tubire simu abaye ngenda kuyita mundete enkota z'amatooke oyagala y'amatooke 10 mu ameka nga nkugamba ng'oleta nga nsasula nga weeyongerayo ffe tugenda kukola ebirala. Actually Nathan knows kati gwakola apps kolayo app y'abalimi. You should have a solution. Link us the buyers to farmers to give us at wholesale farm price. That's something that the tech guys could do in farming. You could farm like that by the way. Nze ne real estate real estate sigenda kuzina nyumba z'abapangisa. Real estate wanga agenda kuba mu ngeri ndala. Sijja zimba nyumba z'abapangisa. Eyo kati mbirekedde bajjekke. Antonio Mulimefe tetubalina kubuzibu. So anyway guys, it's a psychological thing. During their time the roads were bad, worse than our roads are bad. The roads during your father's time were worse. That's why he prefers SUVs. So they had to maneuver a lot of roads. Now, this time, I'm telling you, I've driven cars in slippery roads that are not four-wheel drive. You don't need a four-wheel drive car in Kampala. You don't. Even when you go to farms, I've gone to places where people farm. The places where you need the four-wheel driver, probably you just want to drive the car until the garden. But majority of the time, the car stops in places where any car can go. So you don't need a four-wheel drive car. When we talk about SUVs, I find that still SUVs are overrated. This is my opinion, guys. SUVs are overrated. I find that everywhere the SUVs can go, our small cars can go. Technology, my Corolla looks like a Prado TX. I'll take a picture for you. I think tomorrow when I was parking here, it looks like an SUV. Ntula mu Corolla bwenti. Ngowaka undo mutunulira nti si bwenti. You get what I'm saying? Owaka undo mutunulira nti warafoni modo mutunulira nti si bwenti. So their cars are, my Corolla is an SUV. So, but if you want to get the technology that is I have a trademark on making the car as long as the Corolla. You get. So, and then the other thing that probably people bought SUVs for was because they used to drive long distances, and diesel cars do very good on long distances. So, but now I find that SUVs are overrated for you guys. First of all, our economy is worse. Why am I saying we have more money than our fathers and grandfathers? Definitely. Do you know why? But think about it. For the guys that have their fathers alive, how many of you guys have your fathers in getaka yagula gule? Very few. So most of them etakabali sikira, and they started building. And some of them nenyumba tebanda zimala balinze mu muzimalenga baganda bamwe bazo okwanjula. You get? But us, the generation yange, tuguze buguzi. Buli kye tulina tukiguze, tutina kye twasikira. You get? And we have a lot of money, but our economy is worse. Why is our economy worse? Our fathers and grandfathers would go to their villages to get food. Right now, if you don't farm, there is no food. Even the people that are in the village right now are old, they cannot farm as much, so there is no food. Our fathers and grandfathers they work like siblings. And they find ways to work out the difference. Which again, right now, everyone is on their own. So you literally have to buy everything. Buying an SUV might not be the best. People buy SUVs. Nga literally buli lunaku yagiberamu yekka. Manual is better, Abdu. Omuntu agula kawunde yo oba Kluger 7-seater, I mean Vanguard, 7-seater Vanguard. Nga every day agiberamu one person. It doesn't make economic sense. Of course, now you're going to say atabwavu bukuogeza bichi. Yes. Let me tell you, I found that my thoughts don't change on things. My thoughts on a bond car have not really changed. They haven't really changed. The Moroka bond nagwa mungwe. I did not wake up and I said, I think I should buy a bond car. Najigwa nagwa mungwe. Na ibo boso jigwa munganze jigwemu. They have never changed. So my thoughts on an SUV have never changed. The first time I sat in an SUV, it was on a guy who Outlander. He gave me that Outlander and I was driving it. And then after driving it for like a day, because I drove it for a day, I realized that that car was a normal car. You'd still fill the potholes. If they were deep, you'd still fill the deep potholes. But at what cost? Apart from the fact that you sit in the car and you feel like, oh, I'm high and mighty, what else do you get? Now someone is going to tell me, Aka, we only live once. Yes, we only live once, but say you only live once if you don't have children. There are decisions I can't just make. I can't just go and buy an SUV simply because I can afford it at that moment. I have a car with 2-wheel, 4-wheel, and all-wheel does changing. All-wheel save fuel. No, you came with 2-wheel. Leave the car in 2-wheel. All-wheel means that the car itself chooses when to put in what tire. You're right, and it's not nice to have an SUV and drive it alone. An SUV may be a sign of bad driving skill. People believe that they are safer and buy them to make up for the lack of good driving skills. I don't think it's really bad driving. Ugandan, I find that majority of the young people that buy the SUVs, they buy them out of love. And when someone is ready to buy an SUV, I found that most of us, even when someone is telling you what they're telling you is right. That's why people have given up on telling us what is right, because tetutera kubanga tugambikako akaseera akubola bakugamba kyotayagala kukola takwagala. Okitegeera. Now it's important that for us, if a generation of tukitegeera and we are buying everything. Okitegeera. And that's probably the reason why most people are buying out of love. And some people are buying because their friends, their workmates, their brothers, their sisters have bought. So when I'm gonna Toyota Subaru XV naga nangi jenjagala tategedde lwaki oli aguze XV okitegeera tategedde olumu oli bagimugulidde na ku mulimu. Like there is a lady I was talking to some time back, yampa consultation emirundi ng'esatu nga buli bwabagenda okunkubira she first sends ka 50k for consultation nga they were buying her car at work and the budget was up to 60 million. It was her car, but at her workplace, because of the caliber of worker she was, they were buying her car. Kati your sister goes, they buy her car at work, she will not tell you bajingulidde ku mulimu. Oba your neighbor buys a car tajja kugamba nti ku mulimu bajingulidde. Naawe otandika okupapala weetundeko ebintu weewole ogulemu ka miliyoni 5. Okitegeera. I find that it might be a poor decision on your hand, on your side. But normally people don't care whether it's a poor decision or not, because for them they just want that car because their neighbor has it, their sister has it, and all that. Yesterday someone said competition is bad, and I was telling them competition is not bad as long as you don't try to put me down. You get? Because if you don't try to put me down, I won't try to put you down. Just buy whatever car you want, I buy whatever car I want. Or I look at your car and I want to buy better, you look at mine, you want to buy better. As long as we're not fighting each other, if we are just using each other to get better, that's a good thing. But also, as you're trying to make yourself better than the next person, you have to think about the other factors that you have in your life. For example, why I'm not considering an SUV before I test it is because in Zenchimanyi, getting $1,000 to replace a battery might be hard on my end. The battery, once the battery dies, you start getting troubles with that car. It starts giving you bad mileage. It starts misbehaving. So I want to first test the hybrid. I have people that can give me the hybrid. And that car, with the efficiency that I think it does, it would pay itself in like a couple of months. But I'm not doing that because nze mmanyi nze nga background yange gyenva. Nkimanyi nti eryande erya $10 bwe lifa lijja kummenya ne bwe naabanziina nja kulira obusungu nga ndisisaamu. So it's important for you to know yourself. SUVs right now, I find that they are a wastage of money in Uganda. Naddala ku bantu abataziina. Abaina sente za SUV nga gobono bojugula, you don't feel it, it's okay. Like you guys saw this prom ya Elite High School. The prom where the kids were bringing Land Cruisers. Do you think those Land Cruisers are for those kids? The parents either bought and they have a Land Cruisers at home, or they hired Land Cruisers for the kids. Now, that in a way it looked good, but it doesn't really look good. First of all, the SUVs, they spoil the environment more than the small cars. They have bigger engines, so they emit more fumes into the environment. So, but that's a conversation that is not yet for Uganda, because you have bigger problems than the environment. Now, by the time the environment starts affecting us and we actually feed it, yes, Isaac, I have the radios. Come and buy a radio plus a camera, reverse camera plus free installation, 550k only. Radios, Android radios. A radio plus a reverse camera plus free installation, 550k only. I don't see why in this day and age someone has a car that doesn't have an Android radio. Huh? Don't forget to hydrate. It's very important for your body. Hydrate. But why are you considering a hybrid? Also talk about these guys, Bakaima Motors. Why do changing? Have they changed? Have they changed any car you saw? Because the last time I saw Kaima in a video, he was in China. He was in China looking at those things. He has not changed any car. Yacho, is that your name? Tanaba. It would be a very good innovation, by the way. Now the other question would be, what's the coverage you get? What coverage do you get when you buy when you change your car, for example, a Vitz, and you put out the fuel motor and you put in the electric motor? Can you drive it to Masaka and come back? That's another thing, because very soon you're going to start seeing problems here. You drive a car, you get because someone is doing something they have not really researched about. Nissan, you can buy. Nissans are not very bad cars. They just give people trouble because the mechanics are not very good with them. The spares are very rare, which makes the spares expensive as well. So you need to be very, very careful with which Nissan you buy. So right now in Uganda, a young person that doesn't have a lot of money, I would recommend you buy a Toyota. For the people that don't have a lot of money, I can tell you that Nissans, even people that had a lot of money, they had trouble with them. So Nissans, if you're still a young person that is here, leave them. Of course, mechanics will tell you to buy Nissans because for them, they eat from you. If you buy a good car, where will it be eating? But a good mechanic will not advise you to buy a Nissan. I'm telling you. So Nathan, I'm considering a hybrid because of the fuel efficiency that the hybrid supposedly give. If a hybrid can give me 25 kilometers per liter, where would you get that? And I've heard that some hybrids give up to 30 kilometers per liter. That's good. That means for me, I would be using about 3 liters a day, driving a distance of about 90 kilometers a day. 3 liters, that's good. No car gives you that mileage. That's why I'm considering. The guy says, so far, the engine capacity gives you 500 kilometers, Yaka of 20K. Apparently, he said he is verified and licensed. He is the guy that once made... Yes, but how many cars has he changed? When new technology like that comes, the reason why prototyping exists is they make a sample and then it's tested in the market, and then the results that come out, maybe a couple of samples. You see, Elon Musk, they tested the Cybertruck, and then they brought it back when it was ready. But even when it was ready, it wasn't really quite ready. But then they took it back. Then they brought it back when it was ready. How many prototypes has this guy done? And I'm not in the tech space, but I know a bit about those things, how they're supposed to be done. So before you take your car to be made electric, you need to see how many others he has done. So Mitchell Selector, how are you? So anyway, guys, SUVs a long time ago, because it's what made sense. Right now, there are cars that are not SUVs that are more expensive than SUVs. I saw a Subaru, it was the Subaru Impreza, the sport version that costs about 95 million shillings. That 95, you can buy a Ronaldo, you can buy a TX, but it was a small hatchback, 95 million shillings. Right now, if it's in the bond, if you're buying a 1.5 liters, about 32 million. So the small cars are also a status symbol if you choose. And I also find that status should not be gauged on cars. It should not be gauged on houses. Status should be gauged on how many people you're impacting. That's where you should get our satisfaction from. Which satisfaction should not come from you driving a car that is 60 million. You have an uncle of yours, they are languishing in poverty. You get. I'm not saying you go and get the kids and put them in your home. Help them from where they are. I find that the world would be a better place. Very soon the neighbors who are poor will come and eat you. So, hi, Joshua. So I find that SUVs are a very good thing, but personally I find that Bali, the older generation, they had a reason to actually buy SUVs. Apart from you wanting to look rich, why else are you buying a car? I'm telling you, before you actually own this car, it's a very comfortable car. But when it becomes yours, you're going to drive it for a week and it will become ordinary. I was having that evening nap, then remembered your Sunday broadcast, so I had to wake up. Kulikayo mbiroto micho. Atenga ndi mukusibula kati. You guys get my thing. SUVs are a good thing. As a matter of fact, when people call inspection is good. Because abantu abagula SUV mbane sente nyingi temutawanya. But still, I would tell you that, of course, there are people, I've found people that justified their buying of SUVs, their roads are bad and all that. And then I'm thinking, instead of you struggling to buy SUVs every 5 years, why don't you elect someone that can be vocal about your roads in parliament? Or why don't you be vocal yourselves? Because, of course, the bigger the car you're buying, the bigger the carbon footprint on Mother Earth. And you don't want that because the seasons are changing. Right now, we would be having a dry season. It rains whenever it wants. The environment is now reacting to our actions. So, of course, buying a hybrid for me is not a purely environmental thing. It's not really an environmental thing. It's a thing to do with fuel consumption. But it's important for us to remember that the environment is important. But just asking, can these electric cars charge themselves the way our normal cars charge their own batteries? Which normal cars? Hybrid is not a normal car. Hybrid, then electric. So the thing with an electric car is you drive it home, plug it in and go and sleep. In the morning, come and plug, drive to work. For me, I would buy an electric if it were cheap. If I was buying an electric like a 30 million, an electric car, I would buy and even buy a generator at home. You get it? I charge it at night. Charging I would sleep with the car on in the socket. Sule charging. When sule wakanga tuwaba de masanyaze when tuka kumulimu ngansaba praga ngangura yaka. I charge my car. You get it? But of course electric cars now are still expensive. But if I found an electric car like 25, 30 million, ngerimu bond yao, njijayo naro. After how is Impreza 2008 model, I watched the review you made about it, but didn't go deep about it. What deepness do you want? The deepness that we need as Uganda is it reliable? Is the spare available? Are mechanics having a good experience with it? What troubles are you going to get when you buy this car? Those are the things that you need. The things that you want me to go deep into would be probably horsepower, torque, because in Kampala, really nobody buys those things. It's it's very hard to find someone that buys it. Okay, how much horsepower? Because I understand that we never buy for those things. We buy what we can afford. That's Uganda. And I'm one of the Ugandans. When my Kavitz was bought, I went to the bond and I wasn't looking for which car has the best horsepower. I was looking for fuel efficiency, reliability, availability, affordability. 4 things. Fuel efficiency, reliability, affordability, availability. That's how we buy cars in Uganda. We were on the express and literally no one would go beyond 150. The speed limit is 100. I was on the express 4 times. No one can go to 180 on that road. Because even if the car was very powerful, could go very fast, the roads themselves are very dangerous for you. So if the car doesn't kill you, the road will kill you. So I find that the things I talked about, that Impreza, it's nice, it's a good car, it's a very, Subarus are reliable cars. Just know the engines are delicate, the spare is a little more expensive, and they take a little more fuel than the Toyotas, but they are very reliable cars. So apart from Toyota and Lexus, I would recommend you buy a Lexus as a third car, and then you buy Mercedes-Benz as the fourth car. No. We say Toyota and Lexus, then Subaru, then Mercedes-Benz will be car number 3. Hey, Fred, you get a hybrid Harrier. Hey. Impreza. The Imprezas are very reliable cars, guys. What are you going? Completely electric. It's 25 million. Good price for a used IST. Yes. Very good. So IST was said, electric cars are not meant to charge themselves. Electric cars are meant to charge on hydropower. That's what I think. On hydropower. A plug-in socket. Which take it. Of course, they have those points that charge very fast, like 30 minutes full charge, which take it. But you can plug into your socket at home. They are environmentally friendly because as you drive it, it doesn't emit any fumes. The hybrid still emits fumes, but less than what a normal engine car emits. Is it true that X stands for engines with 1.5 cc and I'm going to do a video that tells you about those letters. I'm going to do a video on those letters. Of course, they keep innovating. They keep coming up with letters and symbols. Like the SI wasn't there a couple of years ago, but now it's there with the new one. So I'm going to do a video where I just tell you about those. Pade, Antonio Random Things, SPK Driving School, Paul Sema, JFK Arts, Waswa, Roderick, Fosca, Isaac M, Arocha Samuel, Nathan, Timothy Kisa, Doug Mason, Nabimanya, Kevin, Charles Sebaduka, Vinny Katz, Triple M, Chizatadeo, VIP. Yes, Derek Lulela, Mektiti, Nomadic for Life, Triple M, Bashiri Mukarazi, Tusime Eddie, Bukenya Abe, Nathan, Firstborn, Suna Akram, Barona Pudan, Sema Abdu, Sesazi Rollings, Africa Karota, Kawagama Enoch, Deep in Coffee, Nick Wabuyi, Joel Obong, Uganda Homes, Gaetano Bika, Senkindu John Agambi, tuba twagala kuvimba. Isaac Orute O, Mugalasi Joshua Mix Farm, Micho Selector, Mugisha Fred, Jothan Semu Wanga. I wish they could have found a way of attaching an alternator to the fully electric cars. I wish too, but I'm sure they thought about it. And maybe it's not practical. If it were practical, Chemanyi Elon Musk could have done it. What happened to the podcast? I have videos in editing, by the way, guys, Jonah. And I have someone in the middle of May who is going to come, or at Budiako investing in Uganda. Oni Wandiamba, hi. Joseph Bali Kudembe. Guys, thank you very much for being part of the broadcast. I don't take you for granted. I'll see you tomorrow in the morning, 7:15 a.m. Yes, and then we'll start the week where we start in the morning and wake up and go to work and hustle. Uganda yafe. But thank you for being part of the broadcast. Thank you for telling people about this channel. Thank you for sharing the videos. May God bless you. Martha Naruoga, Omni Wandiambi, Namwabali Mukamori. Even you guys that are watching the video tomorrow, next day, or next week, or next month, or even next year, thank you very much. The problem is that it could require 4 alternators for each rotation. I believe it can generate some energy. Chisoboka. But guys, I wish you a very lovely evening. Don't drink and drive. Don't drive recklessly. Know where the one ways are. I wish you a very lovely evening. Ciao.